Welcome to the tribe.
Good evening. Behold the singing bowl. It's silent on its own, but it encloses chosen air borrowed from the atmosphere. It waits, paused and sentient, but yearns to speak to everyone who's here. The being appears with a thought. I'd like to rekindle the sound of creation. God lights the brain tells the hand makes the baton dance just on the edge of the bowl, and the bowl breaks into a joyous song. A dance of the shared energy of consciousness, matter, and will. From nothing, creation, possible only by the merging of consciousness, matter, and will. Each character acting on its own doesn't act at all. PCC is like the bowl, which has created a community by enclosing space here in the Seabright neighborhood. Those who share in the experience here create an atmosphere of consciousness. And when the energy is right, it sings out and creates a sound that can be heard by all nearby.
If you didn't hear that, I'm not going to repeat. So, anyway, good evening, and this is your official welcome for sharing in the joyous 30th anniversary of Pacific Cultural Center. The Hawaiian Fellowship, under the direction of Baba Haridas, brought this place into its current incarnation to create an environment for the attainment of peace, and may we all have that experience. So before we go on, let's hear some beautiful music from our kirtan group that came all the way down the mountain to sing for you.
So we don't sing for you, we sing with you. Please join in, call response here. We're going to invoke Ganesh, remove all obstacles for tonight.
Sharanam
Jai Jai Guru Deva Hare. Jai Jai Guru Deva Hare. Jai Jai Guru Deva Hare. Hare Hare. Jai Jai Guru Deva 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 Hare. Hare Hare. Jai Jai Guru Deva Hare. Govinda Hare Gopala Hare. Govinda Hare Gopala Hare.
So stick around. There's going to be a lot more kirtan, and there is going to be presentation of stories from people who've been coming here over the years. But first, who can tell me what karma yoga means?
Pop quiz.
Pop quiz. What is it? Work without self-interest. And in that vein, a lot of people have worked really hard without self-interest to bring this here today. So I'd like Pratibha Queen to come up and present some Karma Yoga Awards. And here she is.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you all for showing up this evening. What a treat. It's like all my old friends and my young friends too. Before the program started, we had a class full of children playing on the carpet here, and my heart was just like going, oh, Babaji, thank you for bringing the kids back. You know how he loved children, and having you here roaming around is just perfect. Well, before I do the Karma Yoga Awards, though, I want to reminisce for a little bit. Back in the waning days of 1988, or maybe it was the early days of
1888.
Oh yeah, 1988, 1999. It's all the same. Back in the old days, we used to have satsang with Babaji at various places around town. And a lot of people got the idea that maybe Babaji instigated it, that maybe we should have one place. So we wouldn't have to schlep the carpets down from Mount Madonna Center every single Sunday and schlep them back at the end of satsang. So a search committee was formed. And on the search committee were several people, maybe some of you remember. Sadanand and Ratna were the two that I remember most. I asked each of them to come and be part of this evening to help us celebrate so that they could tell their story. But Sadanand is India, and Ratna is not able to be here. So I also asked Radha Mallory, because she was Mrs. Satsang for so many years, but unfortunately she is in New Zealand. So it falls upon me to tell you the story about finding Moraga Hall. Now, I was not a member of the search committee, but being a curious little monkey, I overheard a conversation one afternoon about wanting to take Babaji to Moraga Hall to check out the place as a possible town center. It was for sale. It had been a drug rehabilitation clinic for many years. And as it turned out, I used to live about a block down the way from Moraga Hall. So unbeknownst and uninvited, I tagged along with the search committee to take Babaji to look at Moraga Hall. So we came in here and looked around. The couple of things that I remember, that over the curves of the windows, there were little pictures of angels and cherubs and flowers around every single window around. Oh, it was beautiful, but kind of kitschy. It was a church. Yeah, it was a church with angels and cherubs. Were you on the church committee?
No, but I knew from living here forever.
It was a church. The other thing quickly that I remember is we went upstairs into what is now called the gallery. And the gallery is a room about maybe half this size. And it had been broken down into partitions so that it could be used for counseling. So there were individual little counseling cubbies, rooms. And Babaji walked up the stairs and he took one look around at the rafters. And he went like this. He just swirled his arm around. I had no idea what he meant. But somebody did. And he meant open it up. Get rid of the partitions. And now the room is an exquisitely beautiful cathedral-like room. Okay, so the days went on in the Karma Yogi army, the monkey army, got together and renovated the building, renovated the house, put in a commercial kitchen, and the rest is history. As you know, Babaji was an exponent, an example, and a devotee of Karma Yoga. He even wrote a book about it. Karma Yoga. Selfless service, the spirit of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the lifeblood of Babaji's community, or tribe. And it took and is taking, as you could see in the video, hundreds of spirited karma yogis to create and maintain this place. Karma Yoga, the yoga of selfless service, the path to liberation in which we devote ourselves to the welfare of all beings. Not just our own self-centered needs and concerns, but the welfare of all. Giving of our energies, our heart, our mind, our senses, to benefit you and you and you and all of us together. So I have a few thank yous. First of all, to the current Karma Yoga resident volunteers of PCC. And those of you that are in the room, I'd like to ask you to stand up. I see several. There's Kalashpati, Lulu, Christina. Where's all the rest of you? There's some in the back. These 7 people work here and live here and are responsible for the day-to-day, the week-to-week, the ongoing activities here at PCC. Without them, none of this would be possible. Over the last 30 years, several hundred other individuals have lived and worked here, and many of them are also here tonight. So I'd like you to stand up, all of you who have ever lived and worked here at PCC. I've talked to at least a dozen of you here. Amar, Anushree, Gina, Carolyn. Yay! There were a lot more than that earlier tonight. They're shy. Oh yeah, they're shy. Probably in the kitchen cleaning. That reminds me, is Punita here? Oh, good. Good, you'll get your chance in that. Right. I'll get you. Okay, so to plan this event tonight, it took a whole group, another dedicated group of Karma Yogis. Would you please stand up? Janie, and Punita, and what's your name again? Jill, Zach, Christina, all of you. I was actually gone for the last week, and so this whole crew carried on brilliantly and without a hitch. I couldn't believe it when I came back today, and all these little bustling monkey army was just busily, happily at work. Oh my God, thank you, God. Okay, so that's the planning committee. Now, Humble Bumble Catering. Let's give a shout out to the food. Are you here, Jessica and Nicole? Humble Bumble Catering is a brand new company. Jessica is the head of this company, and Nicole, she left some of her cards back on the back table in case any of you are interested in hiring her services for catering. And as we can all attest, her food is excellent. She's also a Vipassana meditation student and teacher who comes here on Wednesday nights, leads a class. So she's double duty. Great food, great insight. Now, 2 special awards I wanted to give tonight. I don't see the people who are going to receive these awards. Is Marta here, or Michelle? Marta and Michelle are 2 of the people who come each week for a 2-hour shift to help support PCC. Marta is the Marta is the office yogi. She comes while our resident volunteers have their staff meeting every Monday morning. So she persons the office. And if she were here, I would give her a certificate of appreciation, since she's not. Michelle Swanson is also a dedicated karma yogi here. She works in the kitchen on Thursday mornings, cleaning up after Gita class. She does this thorough job of just spotless, leaving the kitchen spotless, including mopping the floors. Pramada, are you here? Pramada was here earlier, and now she's not. So she won't get her certificate of appreciation either until later. The best karma yogi, though. There is one, however, last award I'd like to honor. Punita McPherson. Would you please come up here, Punita? Punita's our Karma Yogi of the Year. About 5 or 6 years ago, I tapped her on the shoulder and said, I don't even remember what I said, but something about like, I invited her to join the Sustainability Committee, and now I lean on her. It's awesome. Punita has a generosity of spirit that is unparalleled. She is one of the most hardworking people. You could see her in the garden. You can see her painting the walls. You can see her digging weeds. You can see her washing dishes. And chanting the Gita. That's right, chanting the Gita. She also has one really sweet quality that I was especially impressed with, and that is that in the face of adversity, she just lights up and says, well, let's go on to plan B. No problem. Thank you. It's a gift to be here. And those of you who know me know that I can talk forever, so I'll quit. Thank you all so dearly, dearly for being here. Every one of you, just dear to my heart.
And before you step down, Pratibha, don't leave that stage. I just wanted to say that Pratibha Queen has been a consistent force in keeping Pacific Cultural Center running smoothly over decades. I think of her as the queen bee of PCC. Rumor has it she was a manager without equal. She does so many things that we do not have time to even list them tonight. So in gratitude, here is a wee token to Pratibha. Okay, so shall we go on to another kirtan, or should we switch to another talk? Let's do a kirtan, and then we will have a story and slideshow. Take it away, kirtan.
Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo, Ram, Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo, Jai Shri Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo, Ram, Ram. Hanuman bolo, Hanuman bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Hanuman bolo, Hanuman bolo, bolo bolo Jai Shri Ram. Hanuman bolo, Hanuman bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Hanuman bolo, Hanuman bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Sita bolo, Sita bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Sita bolo, Sita bolo, bolo bolo Jai Shri Ram. Sita bolo, Sita bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Sita bolo, Sita bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Namo Namah Ram, Namo Namah Ram, Namo Namah Ram, Namo Namah Ram. Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Sita Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Ram bolo, bolo Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Babaji bolo, Babaji bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Babaji bolo, Babaji bolo, bolo bolo Jai Shri Ram. Babaji bolo, Babaji bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Babaji bolo, Babaji bolo, bolo bolo Jai Shri Ram. Namo Namah Ram, Namo Namah Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Jai Shri Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Jai Shri Ram. Hanuman bolo, Hanuman bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Hanuman bolo, Hanuman bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Hanuman, Hanuman bolo bolo Ram. Hanuman, Hanuman bolo bolo Ram. Ram 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 bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, Ram 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 bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, Ram 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 Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Mahadev, Jaya Mahadev, Jaya Mahadev, Jaya Mahadev. Krishna Krishna Ram, Krishna Krishna Ram, Krishna Krishna Ram, Krishna Krishna Ram. Jaya Jaya Ma, Jaya Durga Ma, Jaya Jaya Ma, Jaya Durga Ma. Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram, Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo. Jai Shri Ram, Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram, Ram bolo, Ram bolo, bolo bolo Ram.
Thank you for that beautiful music. This should be on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, now I'd like to introduce a couple storytellers. Jagadish Wolfman, who is a neighbor and friend of Pacific Cultural Center, and also his name is some kind of god, although I'm not convinced he's any more god than the rest of us. And Sudha Schneider, a longtime member and the wizard behind the Baba Haridas Facebook page, which you have, if you have not seen it, I highly recommend it as a wonderful way to start your day. And she's also live streaming. She's our archivist. She does live streaming and archives things. So take it away, you two.
Lights down. Okay, okay.
Please turn the house lights off.
And my outfit is so that you can see me without the box.
Yes. Thank you all for showing up tonight, first of all. And here you go.
Okay, so we're good. All right. Do we have the projector ready? Cool. Okay. So I have to have some props, or otherwise it will be difficult for me. Yeah, the spotlight. So first, we're going to talk about names anyway. So my name is Jagadish. This is Sudha. And we have a certain relationship. And the thing was, Babaji gave me that name. It's a Hindi name. And, you know, it was a little nerve-wracking getting a name from him because I figured, shoot, man, I may not be able to pronounce it. So he gave me an easy name that is in the Arti song a lot of times so that I could pronounce it pretty close to how it's supposed to be. So,
However, we changed his name to Jughead, and that's how he remembers it best.
yes, thank you very much. So there's going to be some pictures flashing up here, and we'll try to talk about them. Okay, so as you could see from that first film that we saw, I mean, Karma Yoga is kind of how it is the focus of what we've been doing for all these years, probably because we have a chance to do it. And I mean, Babaji, you know, that's his thing, one of his things. He had a lot of things, but that was one that was always there. So the first thing that I can remember about the Pacific Cultural Center was giving it a name. And I had nothing to do with it, but I do remember, I feel like I voted on it or something. And it was a very popular, it was easy. It was a good name. It really worked out good. And so that's the name stories. So then the Karma Yoga stories was the first thing I'm going to talk about is some of the different things. And the first thing I remember was, it was that building up there that Pratibha talked about, that room. And just, you know, tearing walls down, putting walls up. Maybe we should put it over there. Maybe we should put it over there. And in the end, it really turned out wonderfully. And that was kind of one of the Karma Yoga things. Of course, the studio. And I mean, there's 100 things that we did here. And the roofing. The Hanuman Fellowship is really, we're famous. We're famous for our roofing techniques. We actually have a professional roofer, a lot of non-professional roofers, a lot of opinions on how roofing should be done. And when you saw that photograph of passing the tiles, 15, 20 people, I mean, from the truck and up and then back and then, it's like, because we seem to always use the heaviest materials on our roofs. Like at Mount Madonna, okay, what's the heaviest material we can use? Yeah, okay, concrete tile, let's put it on. Oh, it's too heavy, let's take it off. And we did, and those days, I mean, those are just, working with a group of people like that, usually the rock crew, it's great. It's just great stuff. And then, of course, one of the things is the other Karma Yoga thing. What we did have, no, the dogs. We always were told all spiritual practices talk about love yourself. Learn to love yourself. So we love the dogs.
Dogs are easy to love.
And I will show, so we're doing the dog show, and it's like, okay, are we going to be able to pull this off? And, we rented the school and everything, and we were concerned, we're not going to have enough dogs, and we're not going to have enough people, and no one's going to show up. And, of course, Babaji said, famously, all the dogs will be there. And Michael Dougherty, or Doherty, made a T-shirt with all the dogs, and we had Babaji sign it. Yeah, we'll see it later. Babaji signed it. All the dogs will be here, and we took that copy and blew it up, and we made this T-shirt. And it was an amazing event. 25 dogs. One of the great obstacles was the obstacle course. And what was the most famous thing in the obstacle course?
One time we were driving down the street and we were trying to figure out what to put in the obstacle course for the dog. And we saw a couch sitting on someone's front lawn that they didn't want, so we put a couch on there. And it was really funny watching. Some dogs are trained not to go on a couch. And so they'd get to that obstacle course and they'd get to that part of the couch, and you'd see the owners going, yeah, it's okay this time, get on the couch. And they'd get on the couch, they'd grab these big dogs and put them on the couch, and then they'd keep going, and it was pretty funny.
And we actually, and that was, so we did it twice actually, and wow, we were young at one point. So, and then the thing I wanted to also talk about is, of course, the fountain. There's a picture here there's Babaji's sketch of the fountain, describing how we should build it, and the size, and the depth, and as you can see, we came pretty close. And Michael also was the fountain carpenter and builder, and, tons of people, everybody digging holes, Madhusudan, DN, I'm sure SN as always. And so one day, in the other picture that we have up here, we're working on the fountain, and Babaji blacked out. And I guess he had blacked out before somewhere. I don't know, he had low blood pressure, whatever it was. And the ambulance came, and, the medics came, and of course, he wasn't leaving, right? He was not going to go anywhere. And he sat and directed us, and, it's kind of what he did, right? I mean, even, he just it was always that energy that flowed from him. And, you know, people would go up to him, and, you know, it was a great thing, you know, being kind of lazy myself, you know, on some of the rock crews, you know, and, you know, if he was sitting down, go talk to him. And in Canada, and Mount Madonna Center, and here in India, and really everywhere. So that's who he was, and this place is really amazing. I'm amazed at all the people that are here, both that I recognize and both that I don't recognize. And I've been coming to some yoga classes here, and it's just so cool. I mean, it really is a beautiful thing that he has pushed through us. And I think that's all I got to say.
Very good. Same here. Yeah. He's my other half. Well, he was.
Thank you.
So one of the things that we had early on when we were younger and had lots of energy, we started an outreach committee. And we were sitting around one day trying to figure out how to make enough money to make this place work, because we were at a loss for funds. So we had different ideas, bake sales. Well, that wasn't going to bring up much money, and so we decided we'd have a yard sale. Well, we had a yard sale, and the very first year we brought in, guess how much? Almost $1 million. The first year it was $3,000. And we were pretty impressed because we were pretty much giving things away. We had a lot of stuff. We did it for about 5 years. Our next year we went up to $8,000. And this man here gave us his garage, so we would fill his garage with stuff. And by the time we were done, we had raised $40,000 in yard sale stuff. So thank you for your stuff, and we don't ever want to do it again.
God. All right, thank you.
सत्यमयी परमे सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी
सत्यमयी परमे सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
आनंदमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे
सत्यमयी परमे
Now I'd like to welcome Amar Dlett, who apparently spent about a decade here as a resident and manager, but he's not telling exactly how long it was. So here you go, Amar.
I really don't remember. And I just have a couple of little stories of when, one was when Babaji would come for Gita class on Thursdays, and we would all run over to the door when he was driving up, and we'd stand out on the porch, and Babaji would get out of the car, Pratibha would bring him here, and he'd start walking over, and one time he bends over and he picks something up like this. He walks in here and he throws it in the trash can. It was a cigarette butt. And I learned something from that. I learned there's nothing that doesn't need, that we can pass on. We have to do whatever comes to us. We have to do it. Another little story was I used to prepare for Gita class and come in about 6 o'clock in the morning, make chai and do whatever. And this one time I come walking in here into this room over here to pick some pillows up. And I'm walking through the room and there's something wrong. I can't figure out. You ever walk by something and not see, but you know something's not right? And I come walking out, and right where Babaji's chair usually sat, there's this little tiny chair with a doll sitting in it. And my brain is just stopped. I mean, I cannot figure out what is going on. Babaji's going to be here in about 15 minutes. And then I hear this chuckling. And a couple of the staff had set this thing up for me. I'll tell you, they really got me that time. And then one other time, I come in for Gita class, same thing. I walk into the kitchen, and the trash was supposed to have been taken out the night before because we'd cleaned the whole center. And I walk in, and there's all this stuff sitting in the kitchen. I just go, these guys, why don't they do their job? So I go walking out, and I drag it out to the dumpster, just start to open it, and out pops Gary. And over here is Nick, taking pictures of the whole thing. And we had a lot of fun here. We did a lot of work. This was after all the work of building this place. I missed a lot of that. I was a student of Babaji's then, but Babaji kind of sent me back into the world, and I wasn't up at the center much because I came around 1979 and missed a lot of really exciting stuff when you guys were putting this place together. This place is so far into my heart, I can't tell you, because when I first started here, I remember having to clean bathrooms. And I had had my own business. I was a business owner, thought a lot of myself, and here I am cleaning toilets. And I'm going, but you know, after about 4 or 5 months, I was singing kirtan while I was cleaning the toilets. And so this place really was, it taught me so much about life and serving, and some of the happiest times of my life were definitely here at PCC, because you can hear from those stories. We had a great group of people, and I just love every one of you. Jeez, that was... Well, gosh, I think that's it. Well, I'm not very, I've never met a microphone I liked, to tell you the truth, and how I got up here, I have no idea, but here I am. And so I'm going to give it back to you with 35 seconds.
Okay, well, you have 32 seconds in reserve, Alma. Okay, so my name is Jill, and I've never lived here, but I'm going to tell you my story. I remember my first day here at Pacific Cultural Center like it was yesterday. Have you ever tried giving God an ultimatum? Well, I did, and that's how I ended up here tonight. My whole life, I had always known there was something beyond the physical plane, but I couldn't quite engage in it all the time. So I was a spiritual seeker. And I did find a spiritual group that was my spiritual home for 13 years. And things changed over time, and the group became, they did not practice what they taught. So I left in a rather traumatic fashion. And I checked out different spiritual groups, Buddhists, I'm clearly not Buddhist material, broad-minded Christians, and every time they got to sin, they lost me. And then I went to a Black Baptist church in Oakland, which was very entertaining, but then when they got to sin, they lost me. So after I moved to Santa Cruz, I was really tired of looking for a spiritual home. And so I told God one Friday morning, I give you 72 hours to find me a spiritual support system, and if you don't come up with something, I am never speaking to you again. So that afternoon, this guy walked into my office, and who was a friend of my coworker, and she's like, Jill, this is Rob. He knows everything about every spiritual community in Santa Cruz. Tell him what you're looking for. So since the ultimatum clock was ticking, I went ahead and told him exactly what I wanted: a group without dogma, free of guru worship, preferably based on yogic scriptures, where the focus was on teachings in everyday life, where children were accepted as humans, and where there was some kind of music or chanting. So Rob, without missing a beat, said, oh, I know exactly where you need to go. This Sunday, on the corner of Broadway and Seabright, Pacific Cultural Center at 1 p.m., they have a song, you'll love it. So since it was within my 72-hour window, I did show up. And when I arrived at satsang, Babaji was sitting right there in this elegant, simple room. There weren't fancy pictures, and everybody seemed so normal and genuine. And children were actually dispersed in the group and acting like children, which I found really fascinating. And people were not knocking each other over trying to get closer to the guru, which I found a 180 from the previous group I was in. So I felt very safe and comfortable in the group, but I didn't get any lightning bolts. I didn't have anything explode in my head, which was kind of a disappointment. But what I did get was a tiny glimpse into a way of life that actually made sense. And I wanted that. And I knew that Babaji knew about the other world that I knew about. So pardon my reading. I wasn't going to read, but otherwise I'll go too long. Oh my God, I have 1 minute 40 seconds. So the following Sunday, I decided to go again. This time when I walked in, Babaji made eye contact with me, and I heard a voice in my head say, "I was wondering when you'd show up." I felt like it was him realizing something in me that I always wanted, but was kind of out of reach. And he knew what I wanted to know. So I continued coming, and I brought my 5-year-old son, Wes, and my ex-husband with me. My son would sit in the back, always on that side, on the women's side, playing with his Legos. And I didn't think he listened much, but it turned out he did. And he would ask Babaji questions like, "Is God a man or a woman?" And Babaji would say, "Sometimes a man, sometimes a woman." So my son grew up in the Hanuman Fellowship, and so did I. And I didn't realize the impact it had on him until I read his personal statement for his application to medical school when he said, "I grew up going to satsang. There I learned that desire is suffering and that only through enlightenment can one be free of it." We went through a lot of experiences over the years, some good, like Woofstock, for example, some not so good, and some downright awful. But the consistency of the teachings that I got here made life work for me. And then I started going to Bhagavad Gita class, which I've been doing on Thursdays for decades, and if you haven't been, I strongly recommend you go. In 2009, I felt a very strong pull to go to Sri Ram Ashram. It's a home for abandoned children that Babaji and Ma Renu started in India. And I was actually afraid to go because the previous time I'd been to India, Indira Gandhi was assassinated, and it went really bad really fast. And I said, I am never coming back. But I did. And meanwhile, my son had graduated from college and was just kind of floating around and really didn't have a plan. So I invited him to go with me. And to my surprise, he said yes. And it turned out that was the last year that Babaji ever went to Sri Ram Ashram. And we were really lucky to have that quality time with him and a fantastic time with the kids. And that's another thing. I want to make a plug for Sri Ram Ashram as well. My son and I volunteered in a travel clinic going to visit migrant workers who would sort rocks on the Ganges River. They had no health care, and so some of the staff from the clinic and some volunteers, we all went. We would set up a tent and do some medical care out in the middle of nowhere, fending off monkeys while we were doing it. And that was when my son realized he needed to make a decision to go back to school to become a doctor, and in fact he did. This place created a beautiful and safe nest for my son and I to grow and to experiment with our spirits. I have the utmost gratitude for this place and for the way life has unfolded since I came here in 1990. I found this sacred space in a world that's pretty wild and crazy, and I'll keep coming back as long as it's here. So now let's hear some more kirtan.
So amongst all this gratitude, let's sing to the Divine Mother.
Durge, Jai Jai Ma. Durge, 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 Jai Jai Ma.
So it's story time again. And this time we will hear from Savarna Wiley, who has spent many years at Mount Madonna Center and Pacific Cultural Center, and for 29 years helped out Babaji and Ma Renu at the house up on Robles Drive. So I'm sure she has something to say that'll be very interesting.
Right up here. Oh, it's very bright. I'm okay. Well, there's so many memories for me in this room, and so many memories of my time with Babaji and Ma up at Robles Drive, and a little closer, thanks. And as we all know, Babaji lived his teachings. And when I was there at his house, I could see how he lived his teachings in the day-to-day life. And my first phase up there was rather quiet. It was before Ma became ill, and there was a time when I was cooking. That was major what I did. And I would cook the evening meal Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it would often just be the three of us. And it was very peaceful, but it wasn't somber. We laughed, we watched TV. We watched Seinfeld, every single episode. And then we watched the reruns of Seinfeld, so much so we had a game. Who could guess which episode it was in the quickest time in the first few seconds of the episode? So it's the parking garage, it's Kramer's the turkey, whatever it was. So, while there was a lot of fun, there was also teaching that were just woven in to the days. And so I'd like to speak to a little bit of those teachings. One, I think, equality. Equality. Another part, non-attachment, and then surrender. So I had a habit of trying to make their food look really nice, little garnishes and colors. But I often came to cook, after I worked, and I would have to hurry. But I would make their trays and serve their trays, and then kind of get my thing together. And I remember one day, there was just a glance about me looking at his tray, looking at Ma's tray, there's order, and then looking at mine. And it wasn't a glance of criticism or a comment on my lack of mindfulness. It was more a questioning look. Like, why do you give yourself less? Why don't you honor you and your food as you do for us? And it was just like 3 or 4 seconds. But something happened, like a whole idea or a whole perspective came, and I just went, oh. And that's a potent teaching that I'm still working with, this equal honoring. Another thing is non-attachment. I got to see him live non-attachment. And he was really, really good at letting go. If something came up, we needed to address something, and it got resolved, it was resolved. It was just gone, like the issue vanished. And I don't know for you, but for me, if I let go, I'm really kind of holding on in a certain degree. But his letting go was, there was a crispness, a completeness to it. And he did what he had taught. He taught, be here now. I don't know if you know that actually came from Babaji, as I understand. Terse and direct, be here now. So I got to see him do that. And one time, it was really pretty strong. And for some reason, Ma was gone, and I was there at home with him, and he was just sitting on the couch. And all of a sudden, he had a terrible pain. I mean, a really intense pain. And I watched this stoic warrior yogi. All of a sudden, he's on his hands and knees, and then he's laying out flat on the living room rug, and he's writhing in pain. And of course, I'm totally alarmed. What's happening? And luckily, the episode only lasted maybe 2 very long minutes. We found out later it was pancreatitis, which I hear is a very painful thing. But the astonishing thing was, after that episode ended, he just got up and he went back to the couch. He did write that was rough. But that was it. There was no like, call the doctor, what happened, is it going to happen again? You know, none of that. He just went back into a peaceful state. And I think he did what he's taught us, tried to teach us, is to keep the presence of God in the heart. He just went back into being. And I thought, how in the world can someone get that equanimity so strongly? Oh, goodness. And I thought he just must go to a very deep well of trust. Trust in the divine, trust that what he needed will come through. And so the last thing I'd speak to is surrender. And as he declined and became ill in different ways, there was a period that was challenging, you know, as so much was happening with him. But that was relatively short. But the rest of the time, I saw him sort of like a lion and a lamb. A lion in that he was so strict for himself about his teachings, his vows, his code. But a lamb in how he, again, lived his teachings of accept what you cannot change. And I had been working for hospice for quite a long time by then. And I had seen a lot of examples of people resisting change, resisting the losing of their abilities. But to see him go into that with such grace. And so when he was no longer able to bring a spoon to his mouth, he was fed. And though he tried to walk, when he couldn't, he allowed himself to be moved. He showed so many ways to surrender, so many ways to trust. Sometimes when we didn't know what to do and how to resolve a problem, he would sit back and he'd write, something will happen. Something will happen. He just didn't take the drama very seriously at all. So I hope that we can look to his deep well of trust and discipline and have that be a well of inspiration for us in our lives.
Thank you. And we have great stories. You can't just see these on television. So now we have Manahar. Manahar, are you here? There you are. Manahar, also known as Scott Schaefer, is a friend of Pacific Cultural Center and a maker of monsters for the Ramayana. When he's in his day job, he does physical therapy at North Bay Physical Therapy, but tonight he's going to tell us a story.
Well, maybe a couple little stories. So the first story is about Ramayana. How many people here have seen the Ramayana? Pretty much everybody, almost. So anyway, one Ramayana up at UCSC was very special for me in that at the end of this show, you know, there was 3 days. The very last day, Babaji sitting there in the front row, gets up, show is finished, he walks up to the stage, keeps going across the stage, goes into the back, and starts putting away the play props. And he, you know, kept working on it with everybody until the very last prop was put away. And that was 1 in the morning. And from that, it was kind of obvious what to learn, which is, if it needs to be done and you want to do it, you just do it. It was quite something. You know, it wasn't for, you know, for other people to do. Another thing was, there was a project I was working on where I would take rope and unwind it and try and turn it into hairs that would become hairs for beard, hairs for these big monsters that we were making. And I figured out a way to unwind it really quickly. And when that happened, it wouldn't come out looking like hair. So he just grabbed it out of my hand, very slowly unwinding it and kind of playing with it. And it just came out like this incredible hair. And I was like, okay, take the time to do things if you're going to do it. You know, he was never any rush, but everything got done. So that was another one. When I first met Babaji, I was a teenager in Florida. And there were these kids there, and they were playing with marbles, and Babaji got on the floor and started playing marbles. And then he took one marble and he put it in his nose, and he took his finger to the other nostril, and it went across the room. So you just... you just never knew what he's going to do. And that playfulness, you know, it would just come out at any time. It was really, really quite something. The last thing was, here at PCC, there's the Gita class. And Babaji had hurt his hip pretty badly. And as a physical therapist, Dr. Bernstein told Babaji, I should go and work with him. And so Babaji had the habit of coming here before the class for about an hour to sit with everyone and talk about things. And sometimes it was things from the news, sometimes it was things from people's lives, could be anything. And he really valued that time, so he didn't want to take time out to get physical therapy. But Dr. Bernstein was quite adamant. And so you will get physical therapy. So what we did was, for about 15 minutes at the beginning of that free time, we'd meet in the studio over there, and I'd set up a massage table. And he was really reluctant in the beginning to do it. So the table was set up like so. And I said, get on the table and I'll work with you. So he goes over the table like this and just hangs there. It was like, okay, I give up, you know. Yeah, that's the sound. So those are just a few things that I was very lucky enough to see and share with you. Thanks.
Thanks, Manohar. So let us finish the evening with some beautiful kirtan.
Hare Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Kashi Vishwanath Gange Kashi Amanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Kashi Vishwanath Gange Kashi Amanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Hara Hara Mahadev Shambho Kashi Vishwanath Gange Bole Hara Hara Mahadev
Thank you all for coming and being part of the tribe. A special thanks to the Kirtan group that came down from the mountain and they're going back up. Thanks to all who helped put this together, all who came and showed up and made it happen, because if nobody showed up, what would we do? And thank you for dancing. And this place is open every day, so you can come on back. And as you leave tonight, here's hoping that contentment and peace will go with you tonight as you leave and stay with you always. Good night.
Let's hear a round of applause for Jill.
Yay, Jill.